Hello, Squad Fam, and welcome to another Sinister Sunday. Today we are going to do a man-made lake in Georgia. Now, we never did underwater hauntings before, so this is something new and exciting for us. So, a Georgia lake's dark and deadly history have some people seeing ghosts, and that's on CNN. So let's see what else we can find on this crazy Georgia lake. Legend has it the ghost of a long dead woman roams this lake in a flowing blue dress. Mysterious arms reach out for swimmers from the watery depths. Angry spirits call people home to submerged graves. These and other spooky tales have haunted Lake Lanier in the foothills of the northern Georgia mountains for decades. But supernatural lore and urban legends about the lake have found a receptive audience on social media, and it still remains a recreational hotspot, popular for boating and water sports. The lake was created in the 1950s by flooding valley communities that contained a cemetery, fueling beliefs that it is cursed. Historians say that some unmarked graves and other structures were swallowed up by the water. More than 200 people have died in swimming and boating accidents on the lake since 1994, adding to its dark history. The stories about mysterious underwater sightings are eerie, especially at Halloween, but the backstory of the Lake Lanier, built over an underwater ghost town, is just as interesting. Ooh, so let's find out how they covered up all this stuff and why. Before the land was buried in water, it was lush and fertile. With rabbits and squirrels scampering around, communities thrived with fancy names like Castleberry Bottom. Then came the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which wanted to create a lake to provide Atlanta and surrounding countries with power and water. The government offered locals money for their farmland. Most of it had been in the families for generations, making it almost impossible to put a price tag on. At first, the government assured landowners that they were being paid for the true value of land and buildings, but the residents found it hard to put a price tag on generations of memories, hard work, and deep roots. A host of emotions accompanied the talk of relocation: anger, resentment, fear, anxiety, bewilderment, and apprehension. To them, their lands were priceless. Eventually, some 700 families sold a total of 56,000 acres to the government, which built a dam on the Chattahoochee River to form the lake. As their land filled with water in 1956, locals jammed roads and bridges to watch as history vanished before their eyes. Whatever they abandoned was covered by the rising waters. Even the lake's naming was contested. Some locals wanted to name it after Georgia politicians, others sought to name it after a legendary football coach. Eventually, it was decided to be named after Sidney Lanier, an 18th century Georgia poet who wrote Song of the Chattahoochee, which is the name of the ocean that fills the lake. Some families later regretted their decision once they realized they couldn't survive on what the government offered them. But the lake brought multiple benefits, including flood protection from the Chattahoochee, which flowed west of Atlanta. Today, Lake Lanier has about 625 billion gallons of water. Now, what lies beneath? To prepare the land to be filled with water, the Army Corps of Engineers demolished or moved anything they considered dangerous. They uprooted trees and hauled them away. Barns and wooden structures that could float and endanger watercrafts were moved. Major infrastructures such as bridges and water intakes were relocated, but the community had a cemetery. While the corps identified and moved marked graves, it is likely that some unmarked ones were inadvertently left behind. The technology capable to identify and verify unmarked burial sites through surface scanning or other means was far less robust 70 years ago. While the Corps made every effort at the time to locate unmarked burials, they had limited capabilities. So inadvertently, there could have been some things left behind from Civil War periods or Native American origins, from pre-colonial and ancient times even. An old auto racetrack near Gainesville was also left behind. It remains at the bottom of the lake. Although the Corps removed the bleachers so they wouldn't float to the surface, the concrete block foundation is there, and also concrete block foundations of some small buildings also were submerged. Some people have claimed to hear church bells from the sunken church, but they say that's impossible. No such structure was left behind due to the height issue, and if it had a steeple, as well as floating wood issues, we would have never left it. Over the decades, when the lake's water levels dropped during drought, submerged roads, tire parts, and other artifacts have been exposed. A haunting is sometimes defined as something that is difficult to ignore or forget. The real haunting in this story is how history has made it possible to ignore what was done to the land in North Georgia. Once a land of wild rivers, North Georgia is now broken with dams and human-made bodies of water that changed the ecosystem. Once the land belonged to indigenous people, now it is buried underwater, making recovering of lost culture almost impossible. So here's where we get to the sinister part of this story. Watery sightings and the Lady of the Lake. Over the years, divers have reported creepy sightings beneath the murky waters. Some tell stories of freaky catfish as big as a Volkswagen. YouTube is filled with divers showing videos of sunken houseboats and piles of debris. Between 1994 and October of this year, people have died in drownings and boating incidents. Tons, in fact, at Lake Lanier. In 2017, longtime driver Buck Buckingham told local media that he sometimes felt body parts in the lake during his many excursions. You reach out into the dark and feel an arm or a leg, and it doesn't move, he said. But that has not affected the lake's popularity. About 20 million visitors last year. Lake Lanier was one of the most visited court-built lakes in the nation. Lake Lanier's size and popularity contribute to the tall tales and the high visitation rate, which also means more fatalities. While we recognize that urban legends can develop over time, first and foremost, our concern is public safety. So they certainly don't want people coming there and exploring all these urban legends and getting hurt. One of the lake's most popular urban legends involves a car wreck. According to the story, a Ford sedan carrying two women crashed off a bridge in April 1958 and tumbled into the lake. Some say the ghost of the woman, dubbed the Lady of the Lake, wanders the bridge at night in a blue dress, lost and restless. Church bells, ladies of the lakes, lots of death. Let's see what else we can find. A mysterious ghost boat has been pulled from Georgia's Lake Lanier, a massive reservoir with its own chilling reputation for being the most controversial and haunted lake in America. The vanished Cheshire ghost boat, a houseboat, has no known owner and shows no signs of being occupied for decades. For years it has been rumored that Lake Lanier has been haunted. Now that the Chesty ghost boat is in the landfill, we have removed any ghosts that were rumored to have inhabited the lake. Everybody can rest easy. Lake Lanier is Georgia's biggest lake. So, the 700-mile of shoreline are home to more than 45 parks and 10 campgrounds. Drowning and accidents have claimed more than 200 people since 1994. The ghost boat was located along the Chestate River branch of the lake, and it did not go easily. Officials said the spot was both shallow and narrow. Heavy equipment, a large barge, and dock floats were initiated to remove the debris and remaining steel of the hull. The deteriorated top shell of the boat was dragged into the barge for disposal, and the hull was placed on dock floats and pushed down the narrow canal to the boat ramp. It is the 11th houseboat removed from Lake Lanier. Abandoned. Do you think they were abandoned, or you think maybe the ghost got them? I don't know, but why just leave your house somewhere abandoned with stuff in it? Doesn't make no sense. Alright guys, so the urban legend of the two women who crashed seemed to be true. I have names and everything. So, the tragic deaths of Delia Mae Parker Young and Susie Roberts, who lost control of their vehicle and drove off a bridge plummeting into Lake Lanier, was said to be an urban legend. However, a year later, remains were found, with both hands missing, but they could not be identified for certain. The body was buried in an unmarked grave. Then, the remains of the other woman later were found and was also not identified until the 1990s. 3 decades later, Roberts' remains were discovered and identified. Wow, see that? Sometimes the urban legends are true. Since then, sightings of a young lady wandering the Jerry D. Jackson Bridge have been reported. Dressed in a blue dress with 2 missing hands, she is presumed to be Young. Her spirit is thought to still linger the bridge. The sinister part of this lake? Well, let's see. So, through the years, there have been an uncanny amounts of deaths associated with the lake, from both boat crashes to drownings, even vehicles losing control and going off into the water. Mysterious drownings have occurred, with bodies showing up miles from where they went under. Some people who have almost drowned in the lake describe the experience as they were being pulled underwater or held without having any control. Years later, tragedy continues to strike, taking the lives of children through random accidents on the water, plus unsolved murder mysteries where bodies are discovered near the lakes. There have been rumors that ghosts linger at nighttime on the lake, whether it be the lady of the lake moaning without any hands, or the ghostly raft that has been seen appearing and disappearing at night for decades. The sinister smear that these stories and more hold is what ultimately led to Lake Lanier to earn the title of being cursed. Could it be that this underwater ghost town and how it began held so much destruction that it was doomed from the very start? I don't know, Squad Fam. What do you guys think of this lake? Sure, we can find tons of stories on it, but I think this place must be very haunted. I did hear some paranormal go there with some equipment. They got a lot of EMF hits. They also got a very distinctive hello from a woman, and then nothing else. But it was so distinct. It was like she was there talking to them on the telephone. So yeah, very interesting place, guys. If anybody's near there, wants to check it out for me, yeah, or has been there, let me know in the comments below. Also, if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing and joining our family. Hit the notification bell for more content. Leave a thumbs up, and we'll see you on the next adventure.